Good afternoon. My name is Renato Almeida Gonzalez, and I'm the Public Art Program Manager for the Salt Lake City Art Council. I'm joined by my colleague Sofia Jeremias, who is at the Department of Community and Neighborhoods here in Salt Lake City. And we're here to present to you an RFQ applicant info session on the request for qualifications we currently have open for the Fleet Block Open Space. This is a commission of the Salt Lake City Public Art Program. I will share now my screen. This commission, I'm going to share some links with you all so you have them of the slides covered today and some of the other important stuff that we have that we'll be covering today. So right now, I'm sharing with you the application page, the full RFQ PDF, the site plan, and then the direct link to the application on Cafe. Today is Friday, January 23rd, and like I said before, our recording of this info session and the slides covered today will be published on our website afterwards. So thank you very much for taking the time and joining us for this info session. This public art opportunity is for artists, professional artists or artist-led teams located within the United States, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, national origin, age, marital status, political opinion or affiliation, or mental or physical disability. We're giving strong preference to artists or teams who demonstrate the ability to create an artwork that reflects the values articulated through prior community engagement and ongoing community engagement for the Fleet Block Open Space, including the values of justice, equity, belonging, and collective healing. Preference will also be given to artists with experience developing projects that thoughtfully respond to a site's history, context, and community significance through collaboration with project stakeholders. Artist-led team applications are welcome. However, each team must be led by a person with a demonstrated history of professional activity as an artist. Teams may not substitute members after submission unless the public art program consents to any proposed substitution. An artist may not apply as both an individual artist and a team member, one person, one application. So if you're considering submitting an application on behalf of a team, just keep in mind that you will not be able to submit it in addition to that one as an individual artist or vice versa. Salt Lake City is the Salt Lake City Arts Council and the Public Art Program are excited to share this call for artists that went live last week. Here's a little bit about the project summary. I'm going to cover a number of slides with all the information you should need in order for you to prepare and develop a successful application for consideration of the Salt Lake Art Design Board in consultation with project stakeholders. This is a request for qualifications, not proposals. So that means that we're not looking for artists to submit their ideas for this space. We're looking for qualifications, portfolios, examples of what you've done in the past that could demonstrate your capacity to carry out the commission as envisioned by the Public Art Program. Salt Lake City is currently transforming approximately 3 acres of the former Fleet Block into a new public open space. This is a project that we're working closely with several colleagues across the city, most importantly, Salt Lake City Public Lands. And this public open space will serve the Granary District, the Central 9th Neighborhood and Ballpark, and the broader city as well. The site is located on the southeast corner of the block between 300 and 400 West and 800 and 900 South. And this has been this site specifically has been the focus of longtime community planning and advocacy, for over a decade. Its current name reflects its historic use as the city's fleet maintenance and operations site. So any city-owned vehicle used to exist within this space. This was the space where that's what the space was used for until 2009. The block will be renamed through a future process, and that's a process that we're working collaboratively with others across the city. This commission seeks an artist or an artist-led team to create a central artwork for the open space that reflect the values highlighted through extensive community engagement, including justice, equity, belonging, and collective healing. The selected artist will also help define a conceptual framework for future artworks by other community artists, which are going to be commissioned separately by Salt Lake City. I'll go into a little bit more detail about that later in the presentation. The Fleet Block Open Space, and just as a note, this slides will be uploaded to our website afterwards. This is the live document, so feel free to click on these links as you see fit. as you explore the document and rewatch the video and learn more about it to see if your practice as an artist aligns with what we're seeking for the Fleet Block open space. But I'm also going to be sharing with you all the links as I go through them. Fleet Block open space is envisioned as a vibrant, safe, and restorative public environment that reflects our city's commitment to being a welcoming, inclusive, and just city. The project principles in general that include the Fleet Block open space, the artwork, and then the larger transformation that the site is currently undergoing is grounded on several principles, including dignity, fortitude, industry, and social justice. This space will be designed to support gathering, reflection, and civic belonging. It will connect natural, recreational, residential, commercial, and cultural spaces, and it is intended as a space for community presence, care, and civic life. Here below in the slide that you're seeing on your screen, we have a site of the Fleet Block as it looked like up to last year. And you will also be able to see that it is a blank canvas. It is an open space. Right now, none of these buildings that you see on your screen are there, except for the ones on the southwest corner of the block, which is another parcel. This means that the entire block will be completely transformed. Here in the next slide that I'll show you, you'll see a little bit about the plan. So currently the Fleet Block open space will be the space that you see on your top left corner of the screen. That's the site of the space. The artist that's selected through this request for qualifications will be integrated into the design team, and they will play a key role in developing how that space looks and feels and is being transformed, particularly through art. I also wanted to highlight the larger effort that Salt Lake City is currently going in reimagining Fleet Block, but also connecting other green spaces in the city. The Granary, Central Ninth, and Ballpark neighborhoods currently lack a lot of green space, and the few green spaces that they have are treasured and valued. But Salt Lake City has gone through a tremendous effort in increasing those open spaces and green spaces throughout the city, and Fleet Block will be a key part of that effort. You will also see that there is a loop on the right-hand side of your street. There is the proposed green loop, which is an ambitious effort by Salt Lake City to really enclose our downtown core and take those giant streets that we have here in Salt Lake City and make them into green spaces that are also open for people using different mobility devices, skateboards, bicycles, etc., and to really bring and use that space here in Salt Lake City to loop them all within a green space. So the Fleet Block, I wanted to put that into a contextual image to give you an idea of the sort of transformation that this project is bringing to the city at large. The Fleet Block open space is surrounded, it's within an area called the Granary District on Central Ninth. That part of the city is going through a tremendous change, and it's in quite a bit of, it's undergoing a transformation from a heavily industrial zone into a place where a lot of new buildings are going up, housing is being built, green open spaces like this, public art, that's where we come in. So it's a neighborhood in transformation. And I wanted to note all of the different changes that are happening because this should aid in your research as you consider whether this call for artists and public art opportunity is appropriate for your practice. This site has a tremendous history and social context. Fleet Block has been tied to community expression and social justice for a while. In 2020, following the murder of George Floyd, temporary murals honoring victims of harmful police interactions were created on the site on the abandoned buildings by a collective of anonymous artists. These murals really transformed Salt Lake City in many ways, and they became a catalyst for dialogue, reflection, and public conversation about the issues they brought up. Although these buildings were removed in 2025 due to environmental and structural concerns, the values, questions, and community impact that these artworks brought into the larger conversation of our city continue to shape this project. Salt Lake City government and the Salt Lake City Arts Council and the Salt Lake City Public Art Program believe that art is central to the future of Fleet Block. We really transformed the site and our conversations around it. We are seeking an artist whose work can invite reflection, foster connection, and help residents imagine a more just, inclusive, and hopeful shared future for all residents. This opportunity builds on the site's legacy without prescribing a single narrative or artistic approach. We truly believe that art is, I mean, we're the Arts Council. We believe that art is the solution to many of our most complex conversations, but we truly believe that art is at the core of the Fleet Block, and we want to put art at the future of Fleet Block, and that's why this Public Art Commission is so important for us. Um, in 2020, the Fleet Block murals played a powerful role in shaping public dialogue, collective mourning, and calls for social justice here in Salt Lake City, Utah. The murals were always understood to be temporary and were painted on vacant buildings that were later demolished in 2025, last year, due to environmental hazards and safety concerns. The city is not going to be asking the future artists to recreate or replicate the murals as part of this public art commission. However, we're seeking for an artist to interpret and honor the broader values and impact the murals represented. These are ideas of justice, accountability, healing, visibility, and a community voice through a new forward-looking artwork. This commission is not intended as a memorial, but as an opportunity to support reflection and future-oriented civic meaning. On the left side of your screen, you will see a number of links that address the murals, including project history, FAQs that the city at large has received, as well as a 360 view of the murals that you can see on the round. So if you click on it, it's a presentation. It's a 360-degree 3D access to see how the murals look like, as well as each individual mural image that was part of the Fleet Block. So I'll share that on the chat and continue. Like I said at the beginning of this presentation, and with this project context and history, there is a significant effort that Salt Lake City has done in community engagement that has gone for many years, and the current ongoing planning process that is currently being led by Sasaki, who is a design consultant that's working really closely with Salt Lake City Public Lands, who will be overseeing the transformation of the Fleet Block with a portion into a green open space, as well as the Salt Lake City Arts Council. The Salt Lake City government, the Arts Council, Public Lands, we've worked with neighbors, community groups, family members of those depicted in the murals, and the broader public to understand community, excuse me, hopes and aspirations for the site. We conducted engagement last fall, beginning in summer and concluding in the fall. That included virtual and in-person surveys, public meetings, and working groups. We heard from around 700 participants through this effort, and those priorities that were compiled through that significant first phase of engagement informed the goals, scope, and expectations of this Public Art Commission. So everything I'm telling you right now and how we are envisioning what the art work for the Fleet Block open space will be was shaped by this engagement that Salt Lake City recently conducted, and we'll have a second phase of engagement beginning soon. Thanks to that engagement and planning process that we did, we have 5 open space design principles that we are honoring through our artwork goals, and also giving you this as context for the project at large. We're seeing the Fleet Block open space as a place for community, a space of belonging where every neighbor can experience connection, find support, and feel seen. And we're seeing it as a place of gathering, a site for learning, remembrance, celebration, and the quiet choreography of daily life. It is also a place to rest, a landscape of cooling canopy, water, and gardens to support comfort, dignity, and climate resilience. It is also a place for justice, a ground where the landscape and artwork reflect accountability, equity, and the city's collective healing. And it is also a place of progress, a neighborhood anchor where programming helps the community grow together in fairness and dignity. These, like I said, these project design principles are informing everything we do. And we invite you to get to know a little bit more about this planning process. The links are here. Let me copy. I think I included this link already at the beginning of the presentation. It's the Fleet Block Open Space on Shape SLC. And let me go to the next slide so I can tell you a little bit more about what's coming up. As Salt Lake City continues to engage surrounding communities while addressing environmental remediation of the site preparation, and long-term planning, we are hoping to integrate thoughtfully designed public art into the space, reflect the principles of social justice and civic belonging as part of it, support healing, visibility, and collective memory, inspire residents to imagine and shape a more equitable future. And with that said, I want to say that the Fleet Block Open Space Public Art Commission is part of a larger effort by Salt Lake City, and we want you to stay engaged. The second phase of engagement for the Fleet Block Open Space, where you'll be able to learn more about the first phase and the changes that will come with it, including conceptual designs, will open in the coming weeks. So I ask you to be engaged, and I'm sharing with you a link where you can sign up to receive general Fleet Block updates, not just from the public art program, but also from the city at large that give any information. With that, now we can go and talk about the project scope. I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to have some water. Project scope. Now we can talk. Now I'm going to shift gears into chatting more in detail about the artwork and how we're thinking about the artwork for the Fleet Block Open Space. Like I said, this is a collaboration between Public Lands, the mayor's office, and project stakeholders, and we're seeking to commission an artist or artist-led team to create a central public artwork for the Fleet Block Open Space. The artwork should reflect Salt Lake City's vision of a welcoming, inclusive, and just community and engaging in themes such as dignity, fortitude, industry, and civic belonging. Artists are encouraged to explore equity and justice through abstraction, metaphor, or experiential design, creating a work that invites reflection, gathering, and connection. I want to bring this up because the Salt Lake City Public Art Program, as we go into this commission, we're extremely open about what the artwork could look like, feel like, and be like. We're not limiting this to artists that work in a specific medium like muralists or sculptures, but we want to keep this open-minded and open-ended as well, just like Fleet Block is. We invite artists with experience in sculpture, environmental or land-based art, installation work, environmentally responsive work, interdisciplinary or socially engaged practice, or artists that have experience creating functional or utilitarian elements to consider submitting their qualifications for this process, as well as artists who are interested in bringing these values forward through their work. We are not prescribing where the artwork will be, what the artwork will look like, how it will be. We know that we want a significant artwork that is hard to ignore, that is big, that is and that makes a statement and puts Salt Lake City in a forward-looking vision. So I wanna bring this up because we are extremely open. And at this stage, this is just a request for qualifications, the specific materials and forms, and all of those kinds of questions will be developed during the proposal phase. Like I said, the artists and their concepts will be integrated into the design team that's envisioning the future of the open space. So, because we want to create a cohesive artwork that's contextualized by both the space and the space informs the artwork and the artwork informs the space. I mentioned at the beginning, one of the artist's responsibilities is that we want them to help us think about how future artworks by community members will be developed. Their responsibilities of the artist will include the design, fabrication, and installation of the central or anchor artwork, the response to the physical, social, and cultural context of the fleet block, while embodying the values of justice, dignity, resilience, and civic belonging. The artist will also be responsible for collaborating with city staff and open space designers to ensure that all of their artistic elements are integrated harmoniously, supporting the aesthetic, functionality, and accessibility of the site. And something really exciting about this, we want this artist to help us envision future artworks for the Fleet Block. During our engagement, we heard from people that they wanted to see artwork by community artists be integrated through it. And we want to honor that and move forward with a plan that integrates future artworks by community artists. And so the artists will help us define the opportunity by those of those artists. And I'll talk about the examples on the left, on the right, excuse me. But we want them to help us imagine how additional interventions can interact with, respond to, or complement the anchor artwork and the entire open space. The artist will provide guidance or input on how these future artworks may be curated or integrated within the site. And this will be a separate subsequent commission that will be managed and funded separately by Salt Lake City. Of course, we see the designer or the artist that will help us lead the creator, the anchor artwork for the space to help us envision at large what we're doing and help us provide input and give us a curatorial framework for how we're going to be thinking of these additional artworks. On the right, on the top, you have an artwork from our collection called Life on State. This was a commission that we did on State Street between 600 and 750 South. These are all artworks made by local artists that we designed and fabricated on their behalf. All we asked of artists was to give us a simple rendering that fit within a circle, and we worked with a professional fabricator to transform them into neon signs. We saw this also as a professional development opportunity. At the bottom, you have an example of a similar project over at Three Creeks Confluence, which is on about 14 South, about-ish, or maybe 12 South, and 9th West. This is Three Creeks Confluence. Salt Lake City daylighted three creeks that met and over at the Jordan River. And each of these panels along the pedestrian bridge were designed by local artists, and Salt Lake City undertook fabrication and installation of these artworks. So I can say Salt Lake City has the experience of implementing projects like this, and we want the commission artists for this, for the Flea Block Open Space to help us imagine something similar. Not in this vein, doesn't have to be this. I don't think it should be this because these two artworks are different, but something in this vein where we work with other artists, perhaps those that don't have public art experience, and integrating their artwork onto the site. So I'm really excited about this portion of this commission. The artwork goals for this project, at its core, the Flea Block Open Space public artwork should look forward, not to create an endpoint, but to invite reflection, connection, and imagination towards a more equitable and just future. The artwork goals that we are considering for this location, for this project, after you're in the proposal phase and when we're selecting artists, this is how we're thinking about the artwork. It should meet all or the following goals. It should embody a compelling, forward-looking artistic vision that reflects the values of justice, resilience, and collective civic engagement, inspiring new possibilities for shared futures. It should be a place for connection and belonging, supporting visibility, dignity, and care for all visitors. It should integrate seamlessly with the site's landscape and design, enhancing the open space as a place to gather, reflect, and imagine a more equitable future. It should respond thoughtfully to the physical, cultural, and historical context of Flea Block, while inspiring dialogue, curiosity, and forward-looking perspectives. We also want an artist to present a vision for how community artists' contributions may relate and enhance the anchor artwork, creating a cohesive and inclusive experience across the site. It should demonstrate craftsmanship and technical excellence, ensuring long-term durability, public safety, and accessibility according to city standards, and invite engagement, exploration, and interaction, encouraging visitors to experience the site as a welcoming and dynamic and reflective public environment. If you submit your qualifications and you are selected as a finalist, the Salt Lake Art Design Board, in consultation with project stakeholders, will review all properly submitted and complete applications and select up to 5 finalists for proposal development. If you're selected as a finalist, you will be notified in mid-March, and you will be asked to come to a meeting where we will give you all information you will need to develop a conceptual proposal for our consideration. Your conceptual proposal will need to include scale designs, renderings, and models, written statement outlining your project concept, ideas, materials, budget, installation, schedule, etc. And the proposal should also present the vision for how future artworks by other community artists may interact with, respond to, and complement the primary artwork as part of a cohesive site-wide approach. We are requesting finalists to submit their proposals by late May, and a presentation to the Salt Lake Art Design Board will be done on Wednesday, June 3rd. If you're selected as a finalist, you will receive a $3,500 stipend for proposal development. And if you're selected for commission, this will be deducted from their total artist commission. The selection of an artist or artist-led team, so when the Art Design Board is looking at how to select artists, will be, they will engage with these goals and qualifications. Professional experience demonstrated in a well-developed and successful body of site-specific public art projects of comparable scope, scale, as evidenced through visual documentation and past work. Ability to create conceptually rich and contextually responsive artwork that engages the history, values, and future of a civic space. demonstrated experience working with project stakeholders, community representatives, design professionals to develop and integrate your artwork into the site. Capacity to articulate a cohesive framework in which artworks by other community artists may exist in relationship to their artwork, ability to meet deadlines and budgets in a timely and professional manner, willing to consult with the Solid Art Design Board, city staff, and others throughout the development process, and a strong understanding of design within a complex urban environment and the ability to respond sensitively to site context and community. The budget for this public art installation is supported by the voter-approved Parks, Trails, and Open Space General Obligation Bond. It is a total of $350,000. Ignore the combined person for and transportation CIP funds. I'll remove that for the slide, but it is a limit of one commission per artist. The commission will be inclusive of an artist's design, fees, collaboration with designers, supplies, materials, fabrication and labor, insurance, transportation of the artwork, and shipping to the site if fabricated somewhere else that's not Salt Lake City, installation of the artwork on the site. If it is an artist that's not from Salt Lake City or outside metro area, travel expenses, as well as structural engineering for the artwork. We will also ask artists to consider a contingency of at least 10% for the project to be towards for unexpected expenses that they may come up. Also note that the artwork concept will be fully integrated into the final construction documents, so some structural components such as footings or foundations may be included within the park's construction scope and may not impact the artist's budget. We'll go into details during the proposal phase, but this means that if they're not complex, if they're simple enough, they could be absorbed by the larger project cost and not impact the artist fee. And another consideration that we'll be asking artists is to consider the time that they will be allocating on their own fee for the potential participation in the selection, coordination, and advisory process for additional artists with the Solid Art Design Board. I won't go into detail about this, but if you're selected as an artist, you will be required to carry general liability, vehicle insurance, and workers' compensation, naming Salt Lake City as an additional insured. Project schedule. This RFQ closes on Tuesday, February 17th by 11:59 Mountain Time. No late applications will be accepted, and there will be no exceptions. We do this for equity and to ensure fairness across the process. If you're selected by the Solid Art Design Board to move forward into the proposal development stage, you will be notified in mid-March and required to attend a meeting in mid to late March. You will have the spring to develop your artwork in close consultation with us. We'll work with you on making sure that your artwork lands and is successful when it's presented to the Art Design Board, with that proposal due to us for pre-qualified review on Wednesday, May 27th by 5 p.m. You will present your artwork to the Solid Art Design Board for recommendation to the mayor for commission by June 3rd, from 5 to 7. And by ordinance, the Salt Lake City mayor is the one that approves our artist commissions, and we anticipate them to do so in June of this year, with early summer being artist contracting. The future call for community artists, it will be our responsibility to write it, develop it, announce it, etc. But you will play a key role in that process. We anticipate to do that later this year in the fall, with artwork engineering and site integration to happen the design concurrently late 2026. Artwork fabrication and installation will take place in 2027, next year, and installation completion and ribbon cutting, hopefully, fingers crossed, by late 2027. However, all of these dates that we provided are estimates based on our current knowledge of project timelines and are subject to change. These are some of the artist agreements and project assumptions. If you're selected for this, it will be a work of public art. So the first agreement will be for you to develop your artwork proposal, including any additional community engagement. If an artist process includes that as part of it, that will be the $3,500 honorarium. And the second agreement will be an official city contract with Salt Lake City for artwork fabrication, installation, and design that will take place that will be after you're selected if selected and approved for the commission. Reminder that you need to carry general liability, auto insurance, and workers' comp or a waiver as part of your responsibilities as an artist. And like I mentioned, it's a work of public art. Things may happen, so we retain the right to remove or relocate the artwork as may be deemed necessary in the future. Um, this happens mostly in instances of safety and security if an artwork is crumbling or toppling or something is happening with it, an emergency. Um, that tends to we tend to keep that for those reasons. And you will retain copyright of your artwork, but you will grant Salt Lake City a license for reproduction. And what do we mean by that is whenever we do presentations, do outreach, promote our own collection, we may use your artwork as an example of what we do. You're required to comply with all applicable laws, codes, and regulations during the term of your agreement with Salt Lake City. And engineering drawings, license, stamped and signed by a Utah licensed engineer, excuse me, are required, and those are the benchmark for approving your artwork fabrication. Now we get to a very technical portion of this presentation, which is how to apply. We use a software called Cafe, Call for Entry. This is one of the standards in the public art world for calls for artists such as this one. All applications have to be submitted through this website. We do not accept applications anywhere else. So make sure that you log in and take the time to become familiar with Cafe, with Call for Entry. There's no application fee, and you properly submit your application. We recommend please do so within 48 hours or at least 48 hours before the February 17th deadline, just because it's a website, things can get finicky. But we ask you to take some time to really get to know that website and to just ensure that your application is completed, because that's the only way in which we will receive applications. We do not receive them via email or any other format. If you request accommodations, I have a slide that will cover that. But all applications materials will have to be uploaded through the corresponding fields and the Cafe link, which is here, the call for entry. And any materials not specifically requested as part of the application or exceeding the maximum page length or format requirements will not be considered. We do not make notifications of disqualifications. So make sure that you read closely what we're requesting and that it aligns with the materials that you're providing as part of your application. Submission requirements. All complete applications by artists or artist-led teams that arrive before 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, February 26th will be reviewed by the Salt Lake Art Design Board and shortlisted, and we'll create a short list for discussion with them. Your full name and contact info must appear on all submitted materials. If applying as a team, indicate the name and contact information of the team's representative. So if you're selected, we want to know who we'll be primarily dealing with. And just a reminder, one person, one application. So if you're a member of a team, you may not submit as an individual artist and vice versa. No application fee for this. There is a ton of resources with assistance on you using Cafe. We link them here. They're also available on the website, and I have an accessibility page coming up in just 1 second. But a reminder, right now, we're not requesting proposals, we're not requesting concepts or ideas for new artwork as part of your applications. What you are submitting is your qualifications, your portfolio, examples of why you can do this commission and when you're qualified to do so. So here are some tips on application materials. Pay attention to minimums, maximums, and other requirements before submitting. We're requesting a letter of interest that is 1 page or 500 words. Keep narrative relevant and aim it to connect it to the project's goals and provide specific examples. If you're an artist that has done all of the things that we spoke about today, work with designers, creating an artwork within an open space that looks forward, that is grounded in the values of justice and equity. If you're an artist that has worked with other artists and integrating your ideas into commissioning future artworks, we want to know about those examples. So make sure that all your application materials are relevant to this application. This can only benefit you when we are reviewing artist qualifications for this site. We request a resume or a CV, 2 pages max, please, and keep it current, brief, relevant. make it easy for us reviewing a lot of these. So try to avoid fancy fonts, colors, and pictures, and include 2 professional references as part of your application. We do not reach out to references at this stage, but if you're selected as a finalist, we'll be reaching out to those references to get to know your work a little bit better. Images or work. I cannot stress the importance of good images as part of your application. This is the primary way in which we get to uh, assess the quality of your work, and it's the first thing that we are going to be looking at based on quality, how it looks, what it does, what's intriguing about it, what kind of questions it poses. So make sure that you pick 5 images, a maximum of 10 images, and up to 2 videos. Good quality, straightforward, and a gist of the work itself. And then I see someone raise their hand. We're going to have a Q&A section afterwards. Sophia's going to help me out with it. So just hold on just 1 minute. We're almost done. We only have 2 more slides. Make sure that you fill out the metadata for Cafe, so all relevant information related to the artwork is there. Do not submit multiple images of different works in one image. What I mean, no collages. So make sure it's 1 artwork, 1 image. And we accept previously uncompleted proposals. So if you are a public artist that has made it to the finalist stage and you have, and you have created proposals of artworks, we admit those. We can consider those as part of your practice, but make sure that these are not more than 3 of the 10 images required. It's 10 media options total with a minimum of 5 images, a maximum of 10, and up to 2 videos. If you need any assistance filling out this request for qualifications, you may only direct it to public art staff, myself and my colleague Amy. Here is our email. We have our email in the next slide too, and I'll put it in the chat as well. We do our best to respond to inquiries quickly, and sometimes we may be able to help you, give you some guidance. Some other times is related to Cafe. We'll do our best to assist you. Know that we don't oversee Cafe, so some of the questions we may have to ask you to direct them to their team, but just keep the deadlines in mind and keep that if you submit a question for us to address that comes in late or very close to the application period, we may not be able to get to it. If you don't have access to a computer or Wi-Fi to apply, or if you speak, we ask you to consider attending or going to one of the Salt Lake City Public Library branches. They have free computer access and Wi-Fi. If you request further accommodations or resources, including translation of materials or into languages other than English, I'm a native Spanish speaker. I could help you in Spanish. Anything else, I may have to request it, but we can do so. We can help you. So just email our program for assistance. Okay, we're almost done. This is just a reminder that all questions may have to come through us. We ask you as part of this process, you will be disqualified if you have any unsolicited contact related to this RFQ with a member of the Art Design Board. So all questions come to us and we'll do our best to respond them and give yourself time. That's probably the biggest piece of advice we can give you. Give yourself time to get to know the project, your application materials, so you can prepare the best project, the best portfolio and qualifications for us to consider. I'm giving you now a link to our email where you may direct questions. And these are the links that I posted at the very, very, very beginning of this presentation. Like I said, a recording of this info session, these slides, and an FAQ will be posted afterwards on our website. And this is a live document, so we invite you to explore it. And with that, I will end and see if there are any questions.
We've only got one question in right now, Renato. Someone's asking if you could repost the link to this presentation. Maybe if you haven't put it up, just where the recording will go.
Yes, I can do that. So the recording will go on this page. And let me type that. Recording will go here. And we should upload it, if not by later today, at the latest Monday.
We can give it a few minutes if people want to submit their questions.
And Margot Eck has a hand up. Are you able to type your question for us to answer it, Margot? Margot says, I'm a professor. I have 90 students working on proposals for this project. Like I mentioned, this is a request for qualifications. It is not a request for proposals. So we welcome applications but from and by your students. However, we do not want them to do work that is not compensated. And right now we're assessing qualifications, not proposals. So if your students or you are wanting to apply for this opportunity as artists, please follow this indications, but I just recommend you not to submit proposals because those will not be reviewed.
Margot also asked if there is an age limit.
Nope, no age limit. Perfect.
Someone else asked, is it safe to say that Sasaki has already conducted community engagement, or would the artist have the opportunity to also conduct?
We can get to that part during the proposal development stage, but there's two phases of engagement with Sasaki, that one that will start soon, one that has already happened. However, artists during their process, a lot of the times they um, conduct additional community engagement, and that's totally fine. So it will be specific to your artwork, to your practice. What I can say is there has been extensive community engagement done for this project. It's not a requirement of us, but we understand that it may come up and it may be something that you want to do as an artist. That's totally fine. And Amanda said it's possible to get a copy of the slides. Amanda, yes. So we will publish them, if not today, by Monday at the latest on our website. And then I just shared the page where it will be. All right. Are there any other questions?
No more questions I'm seeing.
I'm not seeing.
Oh, one more. Someone asked, they're one of Professor X students at this stage. Would our professor be the one who applies as the leader of our team?
I would say that consult that with your professor. If you are interested in applying by yourself as your own individual artist, you may do so. However, if this is part of a bigger project and you're submitting your qualifications as an artist, remember, not proposals, that's totally fine, and we leave it up to you. So coordinate with your professor. But I'm excited that there's a class doing a project on this. This was really fun. I want to see what you guys do. So send us an email. I'm interested in learning more.
that looks like all the questions.
That looks
Oh,
like all the questions.